What's up, guys? How are y'all doing? This is going to be a little bit of a yap video, but this whole video is going to be centered around us going through and revisiting anime adventures while talking about everything that just went wrong with the game. What brought the game to its downfall when it re-released? If you guys do end up enjoying this video, make sure you like and subscribe. I really appreciate it. We're really close to 1,000 subscribers, and I definitely really want to get there. So yeah, help me get there. I love you guys, and let's jump into this video. Okay, so we're back in Anime Adventures. I know it's been quite a while since I've made a video on this game. Obviously, I wish I still was, because I still have a soft spot in my heart for Anime Adventures, but today I just kind of want to go and revisit a bunch of the things that I think Anime Adventures did wrong with the re-release, and we'll go over a bunch of bullet points, because I basically have everything bullet pointed down as to what were the issues with this game, like what caused this game to have its second downfall. So if you're new and you maybe didn't know what was the thing that originally caused Anime Adventures' first downfall, I'll call it, basically what happened is Anime Adventures actually got DMCA'd. So what that means is a company called GameFam that was pre-existing already on Roblox, they have a partnership with Crunchyroll. And basically on behalf of Crunchyroll, they had a DMCA takedown request on Anime Adventures over stolen characters. They were making money off of characters that weren't theirs. And essentially, all Anime Adventures had to do was just to take the game down and then change all the characters that were affected by the copyright and then bring the game back up. Which seems like a totally simple thing to do, which for some reason they didn't. We don't know the inner workings. There's obviously tons of theories and blah blah blah, but basically the game stayed down. It didn't get taken back up, which a lot of people were very upset with that for some reason. I don't know what they were doing. I don't know what they were thinking, but the game never came back up for some reason. And for about a year, we were left without Anime Adventures, which hurt a lot of people because it was a lot of people's favorite games. Genuinely, it was. And understandably so. So obviously that first point, the DMCA, that was a little bit out of their control. Obviously they could have brought the game back up, but they couldn't choose to have the game DMCA'd. That wasn't their choice. And a lot of people were willing to forgive them because it wasn't really their fault that much. Obviously, it was their fault for using stolen characters, but I mean, that just comes with the territory when you make an anime game on Roblox. That could happen to literally any anime game on Roblox. So with that happening, I mean, I wasn't that surprised by that. So let's fast forward all the way to the year 2024. We finally get Anime Adventures back for Christmas of 2024. It's been gone for a full year. It left 2023 Christmas, so it's actually been like almost exactly a full year, and the game re-releases. And to a lot of people's shocks, yes, a lot of models were actually changed, which honestly, it was only a couple, so personally for someone like me, I wasn't that upset about it. But you could see the problem starting to form of, oh no, they're changing models, they're going to keep changing models, which they did eventually do, which leads me into my second point, the models. So if you're not already aware, there was a very large game on Roblox that came out a couple months ago. I think it's about a year ago now, but it was called Anime Defenders. And Anime Defenders was an anime game that was using non-copyrightable models. So basically every model in the game, instead of like half and half, some models are copyright free and then some of them aren't, they literally just went full custom designs that are slightly based on anime designs, which the game did really well. People weren't that upset about it. There were people that didn't like it, but the people who didn't like it just didn't play it, and the game was successful and growing. And one of the big downfalls of that game was eventually the models, because people started getting like, okay, this doesn't even look remotely like this character. And something that really happened with Anime Adventures was almost the exact same thing, where they just kept changing more and more models. And when you play a game with anime in the title, seeing the models of your favorite anime characters change and change and change really upsets people. Like, people don't want to play that. People don't want to see that, which is completely fair. Anyone who has that issue, I mean, I see your exact point. There's nothing wrong with that. And that brings us to another problem. The lack of innovation that Anime Adventures had. Anime Adventures was heavily glazed and heavily defended as like this great god of a game amazing tower defense game, which in its defense, when it was released and when it did come out, when it originally had come out in like 2022, it really was that type of game. It really was like the anime vanguards of tower defenses, where it was the best and it didn't have competition. But that was then, and releasing the game now, which is like 2 years after, and not changing anything in the game at all. So basically the game re-releasing the same exact game that it was 2 years ago now really like pissed a lot of people off, including myself, because a lot of people thought they were working on this game, Anime Ventures, the entire time that it was taken down. I never thought that, but I did think that if the game was to re-release, it would be at least to a modern level. That was definitely a ginormous factor that turned a lot of people off, was just the game being the literal exact same. Times genuinely did change, and if you like ALS or if you don't like Vanguards, whatever the case is, those games just were more innovative, they had more things to do, and they were more modern, and they respected your time, which Anime Ventures did not do. And speaking of Vanguards and ALS, that actually brings me to my next point, which is the rise of competitors on Roblox. So with Anime Ventures coming out, it literally had like 150,000 concurrent players for like about a month and a half, which obviously shakes the anime tower defense genre, because there was no game doing that at that time. And the reason I'm calling this part of the video the rise of competitors is because this is truly what happened. ALS was already starting to like rebuild itself and turn itself into an actual enjoyable good game. It just wasn't fully there yet. They didn't have the push, and Vanguards was dying. For people that say it wasn't, I mean, I literally watched Vanguards when that Fate update came out. I was expecting Vanguards to be like, okay, it's gonna jump back up to like 30-40k. That update came out and it had like 20k concurrent players on release, and then like 2 weeks after that update, it had like 5k and a little bit below that. And when Anime Ventures did re-release, it pushed ALS and Vanguards to just skyrocket in quality to compete. And genuinely, those two games skyrocketed in quality so much that they overshadowed Anime Ventures within like a month or 2 months. Anime Ventures was so scary for these two game devs that they actually just made both of their games better than Anime Ventures, which is kind of ironic because Anime Ventures was glazed as like this great game, nothing can touch it in quality, and these two games literally pass it up within the first month of its re-release. My fourth point of one of the reasons Anime Ventures really did fail was also the quality of lives. This could also be put into the lack of innovation and the complacency, but the lack of quality of life updates was definitely a big issue. A lot of people were giving Anime Ventures the pass for like the first 2 or 3 updates because they were like, okay, the game's gonna steadily modernize itself with each update, which is what I thought was gonna happen. But no, they did not do that. When they would update, they would throw in maybe 1 or 2 quality of lives that like we were kind of asking for or even didn't ask for, instead of just adding all the things we did ask for. And that really caused a really big decline in Anime Ventures' success with its re-release, because people wanted the game to be successful and they wanted the game to modernize, and it just couldn't. They just didn't do it. To really summarize this video, Anime Ventures, it wasn't just one problem. Like with ALS and Vanguards, they've had problems in the past where the game's been dying, and it's normally like 1 or 2 things that's really biting at them. But with Anime Ventures, it was just issue 1, issue 2, issue 3, issue 4. There were so many issues they were struggling with, and for some reason, they just didn't fix them. They just got complacent and refused to fix them. I'm not saying they stopped caring about Anime Ventures, because they obviously wouldn't have re-released it and updated it as much as they did, but it really makes me question, what were they trying to do with Anime Ventures? What was the goal? What was the goal with this re-release? Because I thought the goal was re-release Anime Ventures, and then over time with each update, bring it up to date with a current game like Vanguards or ALS. And they didn't do that. Instead, they just took this game from 3 years ago now and just pretended like it still was 2022 and just kept adding content on top of it instead of bringing it up to a current date game. People do not like getting punished by their game that they play every day, and people like to be rewarded by the game they play every day. Who doesn't like to be rewarded in a game, especially an anime tower defense game that's a gacha game? The whole game's ecosystem revolves around you spending money or you being super lucky and getting something rare. And you have a game that just doesn't reward you for doing really anything, doesn't reward your time, because you can spend hundreds of hours in Anime Adventures and not get what you're trying to get when you could do that on ALS and Vanguards. I don't know really what else to say. This is 100% a rant video. If you guys say that in the comments, you're completely correct. But it's more of a rant because at my base, I started this video off saying I loved Anime Adventures, and in my heart a little bit, I still do. I don't hate Anime Adventures, but I hate the way I'm watching the game die. Because the answer of how to fix this was so clearly in front of them, and they ignored it. And they just didn't do it, and the game's dead. The game is dead. It's not dying. The game is dead. I think currently, as of now, it's sitting around 700 players, which is just, that's a joke. I'd like to remind you that Anime Adventures released with over 100,000 concurrent players. And now Anime Adventures, they sit at like 700, 900, and it's going down and down and down. Anime World Tower Defense and Anime Fantasy have more players than Anime Adventures does. That is crazy to me. All-Star Tower Defense, the game that hasn't updated in like almost 2 years, has more players than Anime Adventures. My point with this video is just to show you guys that Anime Adventures really shot themselves in the foot with this re-release. And instead of fixing it and healing the game and making it a better game, they just let it die. I don't know if there was something behind the scenes with like owner changes or the development team changing, but the mix of the poor update schedule with all the other problems that were stacking on top of each other caused Anime Adventures' downfall. And I don't know if we'll ever see it back. That is a question I wish I had an answer for, if they're ever going to re-release again, and if they're going to rework the whole game, if they're going to get the rights to animes, whatever it may be. I just wish one day we will hear something from a developer or something from an owner. I just wish one day we will hear something about, I'm sorry guys, or the game's coming back, and we just something, some news at all, because this is really sad. I don't want to see this. Anyways, guys, with that being said, this is probably the end of the video. This is the end of the rant. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you like and subscribe. Like I said at the start of the video, it would really help out trying to get this video pushed in the algorithm, and I definitely want to hit 1,000 subscribers before the end of this month if possible. And I want all of you guys that are watching this video right now to be a part of that journey. So with that being said, I love you guys. I really do appreciate all the support that you guys give, and I will see you guys in the next video. See ya.